Welcome to Crypto News Daily and part 2 of our piece on SEC versus Ripple, inside the case that could make or break the crypto industry. An investigation reveals Ripple is on a limb, but so is the SEC. A loss for Ripple could mean losing its XRP, while an SEC loss would erode its credibility. For the SEC, the Ripple case is a test of strength. If it loses, the outcome will mean humiliation for America's top financial cop and the erosion of its enforcement powers. In more than a dozen interviews, people close to Ripple and experts in securities law described SEC v. Ripple as a case that will not only decide the fate of the company, but shape the future of the crypto industry by determining whether cryptocurrencies should be treated like stocks. A judge could answer that question as soon as this fall. Billions of dollars are riding on the answer. The case against the SEC, revolving doors and on-the-fly legal tests of the SEC. The SEC is one of the most sophisticated agencies in Washington, tasked with regulating a financial sector of staggering complexity. Even though many of the companies it oversees possess wealth and technology that far exceed what a government agency can muster, it has mostly held its own. The SEC relies on a team of securities lawyers, economists and, increasingly, software experts who help it track the activities of high-frequency traders, pump and dump schemers and hustlers of all stripes. But when it came to crypto, the SEC was late to the game. Until mid-2017, the SEC stood on the sidelines as so-called initial coin offerings, ECOs, fueled one of the largest financial bubbles in history. ECOs let companies raise funds, much as they would from an IPO, but instead of distributing shares, they distribute digital tokens to their backers instead. In theory, people who buy tokens distributed in an ECO can use them to participate in a future blockchain project. And indeed that's what occurred in some ECOs, including the one for Ethereum which lets users employ its tokens as gas to carry out various tasks. But in the case of most other ECOs, the blockchains have yet to be finished due to technical difficulties or poor leadership. Or because they were outright scams in the first place. By 2017, scams, or projects that bordered on scams, had sucked up billions of dollars from ordinary investors hoping to get in on the next Bitcoin. In August of that year, the SEC finally took action by issuing a report that concluded a 2015 blockchain-based investment project known as the DAO was a securities offering. While the report stated the SEC would take no action against the DAO organizers, the document was a warning shot to the broader crypto industry, saying in essence, knock off this eco stuff or we'll come after you. And that's what the SEC did. In early 2018, the agency announced settlements against 2 minor league crypto projects. Then it moved up the food chain. In 2019, the SEC forced 2 popular messaging platforms, Kik and Telegram, to disgorge money they earned from eco projects, and laid out its reasons in court-approved settlements. According to Peter Fox, a securities lawyer versed in crypto cases, the Kik and Telegram settlements served as ammunition for an even bigger target, Ripple. Fox says it's no coincidence the SEC chose the same court and team of attorneys for all 3 cases. Preston Byrne, a partner at the crypto law firm Anderson Kill, agrees with the assessment that the Kik and Telegram cases were just a warm-up for the SEC. This explains why the SEC waited to go after Ripple, he says. The case was so big they needed other rulings from the Southern District of New York to solidify their legal position. By 2019, the SEC believed it had the legal precedent to force Ripple into a settlement. But still the company refused, a stance Ripple's defenders view as principled and courageous, and its detractors claim it's a stunt to keep selling XRP for a while longer. Whatever Ripple's motivations, the SEC finally sued on December 22nd, a date that's notable not only for its proximity to Christmas, but because the SEC chair and other key decision makers at the agency were on the way out. When it takes that long to figure out a case, you shouldn't be bringing it. It's not something I would do walking out the door, says former SEC Chair Mary Jo White. Small and charismatic with a mop of short gray hair, White is a formidable figure in U.S. legal circles. In addition to a successful tenure at the SEC, she was the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York, a job that entailed prosecuting high-profile cases involving terrorism and white-collar crime, and made famous by Paul Giamatti in the HBO series Billions. Today, White is just one of many gold-plated lawyers working for Ripple. According to American banker, Ripple has retained more than 24 prominent lawyers for its defense, while Larsen and Garlinghouse have retained at least 6 each from white shoe firms where top attorneys can charge $2,000 an hour. As for the SEC, it has 7 lawyers on the Ripple case. It's unclear for now how much all this legal firepower will help Ripple. Stephen Palley, a crypto attorney with Anderson Kill, is skeptical. Hiring Mary Jo White is meaningless, it just means they have a lot of money, says Palley. You can hire fancy law firms, and you can leak things from hearings, but the law is the law. White's role as Ripple's counsel means her views of the case are hardly objective, but her comments about the timing of the SEC's lawsuit are on point. Unlike Kik or Telegram, which sold tokens in 2017 and 2018, Ripple conducted its initial sale in 2012, well before the SEC's Dow report warning shot, and before Ethereum, which the agency says is not a security, even existed. Josh Mitz, a securities law professor at Columbia University who is unaffiliated with either side, questions the SEC's judgment in waiting so long to sue. This is a huge drag on innovation. If you're trying to invent something and 7 years from now it could lead to a prosecution, that will create a huge chilling effect, he says. The SEC's 8-year delay in suing Ripple raises questions of fairness, but the agency has justified the delay by framing the company's behavior as a rolling echo, treating its recent XRP sales as part of an ongoing decision to violate securities law. According to White, this legal theory doesn't fit and sticks in your craw. The agency, meanwhile, is in an uncomfortable position over its inconsistency in handling other high-profile blockchain offerings. Those include EOS, which raised a mind-boggling $4 billion in an eco that ran from 2017 to 2018 and whose marketing included billboards on Times Square. The project has since been dogged by controversy, including over its centralized attributes, but the SEC nonetheless let EOS off the hook in return for a $24 million fine, a paltry amount given its size, and one that left many lawyers incredulous. The agency has also raised eyebrows over its dealings with Ethereum. In 2018, a senior official at the agency gave a speech saying the sale of ETH tokens did not constitute a securities violation because the project had become sufficiently decentralized. In other words, those who launched Ethereum violated securities law until they didn't, raising the question of why other projects, including Ripple, can't do the same. Meanwhile, the SEC has failed to provide guidance on how or when something crosses the decentralization line. The SEC's Ethereum decision received cheers in crypto circles. But it puzzled many lawyers since the decision glossed over a 1946 Supreme Court test known as Howey that is the bedrock of modern securities law, and has been applied in business transactions involving everything from orange groves to animal breeding. In his Ethereum speech, the SEC official, Bill Hinman, invoked Howey but then all but ignored it in favor of the novel decentralization test. The sufficiently decentralized test is the worst piece of on-the-fly legal making up I've ever seen. The real test that's simple and known to everyone is the Howey test, says Byrne, the Anderson Kill lawyer. The SEC's novel test for Ethereum was even more incongruous given that the agency set up a fake eco website in 2018 called Howey Coins, pictured below, to warn gullible investors about too good to true token offerings. The site was an inspired piece of trolling, but its name underscored how the Howey test remains the North Star of securities law. Meanwhile, Hinman had a potential conflict of interest at the time of the Ethereum speech. Even as he served as the SEC's Director of Corporate Finance, Hinman was drawing a pension worth $1.6 million from his former law firm Simpson Thacher. The firm's client list includes the Ethereum Enterprise Alliance, a consortium that promotes the use of the Ethereum blockchain in the corporate world. Mitz, the Columbia law professor, says it's a real stretch to imagine a regulator's judgment would be impaired as a result of receiving a pension from a law firm, but adds that the revolving door is a fair topic of criticism. Hinman returned to Simpson Thacher in 2020. Neither he nor the law firm responded to requests for comment. The SEC declined to comment on the potential conflict of interest involving Hinman, or on its Ripple deliberations in general. Ripple, however, has not been subtle in calling attention to the potential conflict of interest, asking the federal judge overseeing the SEC lawsuit to let the company conduct a deposition of Hinman. In July, the judge agreed to do so, over the agency's strenuous objectives. All of this is part of a larger campaign to battle the SEC in the court of public opinion, An unusual gambit given that most companies embroiled in regulatory trouble stay mum or issue terse polite statements about how they are cooperating with regulators. Ripple's unconventional strategy became apparent in December when it went to the press a day before the SEC announced the case. Doing so let the company, at least temporarily, frame the lawsuit in the most favorable light, portraying Ripple and XRP victims as the victim of a clueless, overbearing government agency. To drum up further sympathy from the public and from political figures, Garlinghouse began suggesting that Ripple might decamp to Europe to escape stifling regulation. All the while, the XRP army, a Twitter horde of Ripple loyalists, and XRP bag holders, that includes more than a few bots, dutifully amplify the company's outrage. Ripple won't say as much, but its aggressive PR tactics appear driven in part by a hope that the SEC, under different leadership, will fold its cards amid political pressure. The agency's new chairman, Gary Gensler, taught blockchain courses at MIT, leading many in the crypto industry, including Ripple, to predict he would adopt policies more favorable to crypto. The strategy is not crazy. The SEC is already under scrutiny from lawmakers on Capitol Hill over its response to a series of technical meltdowns in the stock market, and how it will address amateur investors frantically trading so-called meme stocks like GameStop. In this context, it might make sense for the SEC to quietly capitulate in the Ripple case and use its resources to patrol other areas of the financial market. Most lawyers, however, are skeptical that Ripple will be able to browbeat the SEC into changing course. Acting like an asshole is usually not a good way to endear yourself to the government, says Byrne, crypto attorney. Ripple's PR campaign has, though, already wanted some key allies. Those include the Wall Street Journal, which published an April editorial titled "The SEC's Crypto Confusion That Excoriated the Agency's Handling of the Ripple Case." But sympathetic media coverage and procedural victories in court only mean that Ripple is winning some battles. It's a far cry from winning its larger war against the SEC. The coming court clash. The ultimate answer to whether XRP is a security will probably come this fall when the parties, barring an unlikely settlement, step foot in New York federal court. A judge in California is also confronting the same question, but that case involves a class action brought by investors, and so the judge will likely wait until New York weighs in. In the meantime, Ripple and the SEC continue to spar over procedural issues, including a demand by the SEC that the company produce evidence in the form of over 1 million Slack messages. The eventual court hearing will determine the fate of Ripple. If the company loses, Ripple along with Garlinghouse and Larsen could be ordered to pay major penalties. Worse, the court could order Ripple to register every XRP as a security or even to destroy the XRP it holds, measures that would cripple the company. Most lawyers interviewed for this story believe the SEC has the upper hand in the case, though a number were far from confident the agency would prevail. These include Aaron Wright, a law professor and blockchain scholar, who suggested that some attorneys critical of XRP have, as part of a bid to drum up business, adopted a shtick that everything's a security. Mitz, the Columbia securities law professor, is also cautious about predicting the outcome of SEC v. Ripple. The set of facts involving Ripple and XRP, he notes, is different from those in the earlier cases of Kik and Telegram, which the SEC is relying on as a precedent. Mitz adds that the legal issue is not cut and dry when it comes to the fourth part of the Supreme Court's Howey test for when something is a security. That part of the test looks at whether there is an expectation that the profits of an endeavor will be derived from the efforts of others. The difficulty, says Mitz, is that, at the outset, a cryptocurrency will depend on a group of founders for its success, but that this situation can change over time if the currency begins to circulate broadly. For this reason, he adds, there is something compelling about Hinman's sufficiently decentralized test, even if the SEC appears to have made it up on the fly. All of this means Ripple has openings to persuade a judge that XRP is not a security. But the company still faces an uphill battle given that the SEC, like any other big agency, has the luxury of time, and will not be fazed by a drawn-out legal battle. And then there is the SEC's highly successful track record in court. The SEC doesn't bring actions unless they feel it's likely they're going to win, Wright notes. But if the SEC has misplayed its legal hand, the consequences will be severe. A win for Ripple would not only humiliate the agency, but embolden the crypto industry, which has long accused the SEC of failing to develop a coherent way to regulate blockchain technology. And according to White, the Ripple lawyer and former SEC chair, losing in court would erode the agency's earlier crypto jurisprudence and make it more difficult to bring new cases. In recent months, the stakes in the case have grown even higher for both sides. For Ripple, the lawsuit led its flagship partner, MoneyGram, to cut ties with the company and to stop using XRP. And its main investor, Tetragon, which led a $200 fundraising round in Ripple in 2019, cited the SEC's actions as the basis for suing to get out of its funding commitment. A judge sided with Ripple in that dispute, but the lawsuit reflects the finance world's growing skittishness over XRP, which remains at the core of the company's business strategy. For the SEC, the Ripple case will be critical for the agenda of its new chair. Far from taking a more lenient approach, as many in the industry have predicted, Gensler has indicated he will double down on the SEC's get tough approach on crypto. He suggested this month the SEC is coming for other corners of crypto, including stablecoins and decentralized finance, DeFi. But the legal basis for such an agenda may be shaky. Already, Gensler's remarks have sparked pushback from a rival agency, the CFTC, and from one of the SEC's commissioners who say he is overreaching. The influential Bloomberg columnist Matt Levine made a similar point this week. Given this uncertainty, the SEC's defeating Ripple in court would firm up Gensler's agenda while a loss would totally undermine it. The best outcome, according to many lawyers and policymakers, would be for Congress to devise a new system of rules to supplement the Howey test, and that take account of the unique properties of crypto. But Congress moves slowly and crypto is not high on its agenda. This means that the regulatory clarity the crypto industry has long sought is most likely to come in the form of a decision in SEC v. Ripple. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe for more crypto content. If you haven't seen part 1 of this piece, be sure to check that out as well.